So if you don't know by now, now you know, nigga. Tariq St Patrick featured in this Power Book 4 series finale. For y'all who was swearing up and down this man Tariq was not going to show up in this series finale, even though it was so much buildup from the end of Power Book 2 Go, even though niggas told y'all from the end of Power Book 2 Go that this man Tariq was going to show up in Tommy's series, even though y'all are watching this series and seeing all the smoke come Tommy's way, to y'all people in particular, I just want to say, I told you so. I didn't get every prediction that I made right last night, but the most obvious one, I'm glad that I did. Now, with that humble brag out the way, let's talk about Tariq St Patrick in this past episode of Power Book 4. How that boy channeled his pops in damn near every interaction that he was on screen. Outside of this one, he had this little cute smile for Tommy after saving his life. But that smile was probably a, yeah, you gonna own me, nigga. You think I would just walk my black ass down to Chicago, save your life, and not expect anything back in return? With all that said, though, if you like anything at all that I say in this video, you already know what y'all gotta do. Go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, follow if you on TikTok. Let's talk about Tariq's inclusion in this series finale. So the first conversation I want to talk about, because Tariq was looking very analytical throughout this episode, is what a lot of the people who actually watch and digest and analyze Power were saying he was going to do. Use his brains, his noggin. That's what Tariq's been good at throughout the entirety of Power. Nobody's expecting Tariq to win in no fist fight. The show went about doing things in a different way. See, I thought Tariq was going to come down and use his brains to formulate some type of plan in order to get Tommy and them about the situation that they were in. But for the most part, Tommy, Miguel, Shanti, D-Mac, and their crew were able to neutralize majority of the members of CBI. And I was like, all right, damn, so Tariq is literally just showing up just to show face. I believe two major conversations in the episode really sets up what we can expect going into Legacy, assuming that D-Mac is going to be a part of this series. Which after a conversation like this, I honestly cannot see him not being in. Caption from YD Smith says, Tariq had me nervous for a minute, because why is he looking all suspicious? You should be nervous. Like I said, Tariq is using his greatest skill, his mind, and he's formulating a play to get Tommy in his corner. Now in this conversation, Tariq is sending condolences over to D-Mac after loss to JP. D-Mac thanks him for that, and then he gets into the fact that he heard that he lost his pops too. Tariq don't correct him like, nah, actually I killed my pop. He just goes along with it like, yeah, you know, shit crazy. Then D-Mac goes on to say things along the lines of, man, who do I even belong to at this point? My pops are off the board, but at least if anything else, I know I have Uncle Tommy by my side. Yeah, I'm his number 2 now. We've been building up so much good shit in Chicago. Once we get them CBI niggas off the board, well, the old regime of CBI, you know, I kind of mess with the Shanti CBI. She alright. But once we get them up off the board, Jannard specifically, me and Uncle Tommy are going to be unstoppable. Then he goes on to say with a semi-smile on his face that Uncle Tommy has been everything to me. And we see on like 2 separate occasions, Tariq goes ahead and makes this face after D-Mac says what he says right here. Obviously, we know from that face Tariq is plotting, but what is he plotting exactly? Well, for starters, let's call a spade a spade. He checked out this conversation a long time ago. First of all, he was not sympathetic at all with D-Mac for real after he sent his condolences for losing his pop. He was like a damn, that's crazy, bro. Moving on. Because we see after this when D-Mac mentions, yo, who do I even belong to at this point? I feel so lost without him. Tariq is basically just like, yeah, well, you learn to make it on your own at some point. Showing very little sympathy for D-Mac in this very moment. And I didn't even mention D-Mac mentioned that Tommy is expecting a child, which also led him to make this face, which is even more information that Tariq can use in the conversation that he's going to have with Tommy by the end of this episode in order to convince him to come up to New York to start working with him. It was a very great scene between D-Mac and Tariq, in my opinion. And I think we can expect some type of beef to emerge between these two nephews of Tommy. I mean, with Tariq taking the only family that D-Mac still has in Chicago, outside of JP's dad, that y'all reminded me was actually in season 1 of Power 4. Congratulations, you showed up in probably, what, 2 episodes, probably less than a handful of episodes, just to pop up at the funeral and then go missing right after. Yeah, D-Mac can definitely rely on this man going forward. I see where JP got that shit from that he was on at the beginning of the series. But once Tariq takes away Tommy from him, he's going to be pissed about that. And once he finds out that this is basically all about business at the end of the day, I can definitely see him carrying a strong resentment towards Tariq, similarly to how a lot of us fans did when we was watching OG Power. So I'm looking forward to seeing that relationship expand, and I'm hoping that D-Mac makes his way onto that cast. I just think that their relationship would be interesting to see expand, especially with my presumption that Tommy is going to get taken out at some point in Force, and that would be Tariq's fault, essentially, for bringing him up to a space that he didn't really even need to go to, which then leads us into this conversation between Tariq and Tommy. Now, Tariq channeled his inner Ghost and Kanan in this scene by convincing this man Tommy to come to a whole new location that he has no business returning back to. The major reasons he left New York to begin with was because there was nothing left for him in New York. He lost Ghost. He lost Lakeisha. At that point, he no longer considered Tariq and Tasha family. Versus where he's at now at the end of 4. He's got Shanti as the head of CBI. Miguel working alongside. Niggas from CBI came to work with Tommy. And he got a new fed in his back pocket by the end of this episode, Insane, who's willing to do the dirty work that Detective Stacy Marks was never willing to do. He has everything set up for him in Chicago. But Tariq says a couple words. He pulls a little talk no jutsu on bro and gets him to be like, you know what, man? I always did want my kid to grow up in the streets of New York that I came up into. Let's move up to New York, Tariq. I'm with that. Well, you have everything everything set up for you right here in the shot. Like I said in my video last night, this is way more advantageous for Tariq than it is for Tommy. For starters, you're joining this man's organization. You're working alongside him where he knows the ins and outs of everything going on. You're the one picking up your stuff and going back to New York where you're presumed dead, where the feds are very familiar with your face. If they see you walking these streets, the case is back on. Tommy Egan is officially back alive. Now, yes, Tariq has the NYPD in his back pocket in New York, but we can't rule out the fact that Tommy still has haters in New York, people that are still looking to put a bullet in his head for things that he pulled off in OG Power. Need y'all to remember this face. She's had a lot of time to grow. We know that Proctor was associated with the mob, and they are raising Elisa Marie as of right now. And she's gonna have a bone to pick with Tommy at some point in time and force. There's no way he's just gonna walk into New York and she is not going to know that he is around. And that's how I see things going down in Legacy. Like, I definitely see Elisa Marie being the one to take out Tommy at some point in time. And in the end, that's going to fall back on Tariq, which would instantly make D-Mac absolutely despise this man. I don't think there's no more coming back from that if he does feature a Legacy. I think that just makes the series even more interesting. It puts a different tone on Legacy altogether, with Tariq looking like he's adopting ghost mentality in a way, putting everything that he cares about at the forefront over family, versus D-Mac, who's representing the loyalty that Tommy had to people in his corner. And I would just love to see that dynamic on screen. Overall, though, I absolutely love Tariq's inclusion in this episode. I think the writing for his character was on point. Conversation with Tommy was absolutely perfect. Great setup for Power Legacy. So many more conversations that we could have about Power Legacy that I'm gonna have on the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I got some videos on the way for y'all. Until then, y'all leave in the comments, what did y'all think about Tariq's inclusion in this episode? Was it a shock to you that Tariq was gonna be there, even though I've been saying since day one of this channel's inception that he was gonna be there? And what are you expecting in Power Legacy? Leave all your thoughts in the comments. I'll be your host, Chase. I hope you've been entertained, and we go talk soon. Peace out.